Hello, it's Christy Gray, your newest hype girl and astrologer. Welcome to the Cosmic Hotline.
Hi, babe, and welcome to this week's episode of the Cosmic Hotline. This week's episode, we're doing things differently, and I'm going to be keeping it real. I'm going to start this episode with a story, and also why this story is relevant to today. So picture this. It's Scorpio season 2020. I've had insane growth in my business, like beyond insane. At the beginning of that year, I'd pivoted my business from coaching to astrology as I became known for astrology and my work as an astrologer. I had family issues. I was reconnecting with my dad after not speaking to him for 15 years. I'd been navigating COVID. My health was suffering because I had been overworking. I'm not even going to tell you how many days I stayed up till 4 a.m. trying to organize systems and processes in my business. And even though I'd had all this insane growth, I still wasn't in a place of abundance. And I had a friendship, which was actually one of my closest friends, start to break down. Because I had so much going on in my life, I questioned if I had the strength to carry on. This was definitely not an easy time for me. And for some of you, you may know that I'm in the process of writing a book. And in true Virgo fashion, I've been outlining all of the chapters and how I want things to flow. But I finally started to commit last week to writing, and I went straight to the middle, which is all about Saturn returns and rock bottoms. And this will be one of the rock bottoms that I give you insight into. I've just given you the Cliff Notes version. But essentially, that Scorpio season in 2020, it was also Mercury Retrograde and had Chiron, the asteroid in astrology, which is known as the wounded healer, in a full tight conjunction to my moon. And when you start to work with astrology, understand the transits, the patterns, you get really savvy at knowing the lessons that you need to learn. But of course, this was so early in my journey, I don't think I fully grasped that concept at the time. Because that's the thing with astrology. It's a language. And even though you have insights at your fingertips, or maybe each week you tune into the Cosmic Hotline to support you in your astrology journey, is that it takes time to really understand the information, and also how do you then apply it to your own life. But if I look back to that time and that dark night of the soul that I had, which really didn't last a day, I'm sure it lasts the whole month. And mind you, I'm not actually great at the water seasons, if I'm truly honest with you. But looking back, what got me through that time was how I used my anger, my sadness, my frustration, all spectrum of my emotions. And I turned all of that pain into power. I should know by now, even as an astrologer, that every single year, this third Mercury retrograde, it always gets me. The one that we're in right now, or we're about to embark on, because we're currently in the shadow period, it starts retrograding on the 10th of September. It doesn't matter how much work I've been doing on myself, where I'm at in my life, how much I've achieved. I always find that this time I'm forced to face the shadowy parts of myself. And maybe I think it's because of where this Mercury retrograde tends to fall in this time of the year, whereas the other two, I tend to be able to bypass a little bit just purely based on the seasons we're in. I'm also going to maybe blame winter here as well, because it's not necessarily my favorite season. This is the thing with Mercury retrograde, and why it forces you to slow down, reflect, review, and reassess your life. As I'm going to give you this analogy. I grew up as a kid that was a bit of a gamer. So My dad actually brought me like a Sega Master System when, gosh, I must have been only about 7 because he left mum and I when I was about 6. I have always been obsessed with things that are digital and innovative and gamification. Maybe that's a Virgo thing because I love systems and processes and I like have this desire to win. And winning doesn't mean I have to be the best. I just like to be able to hack the system. And so I remember as a kid when I used to spend time at my dad's house, and by this stage I was getting a little bit older, and my stepbrother had a Sega Mega Drive. I'm totally showing my age right now, but I remember spending hours playing games like Alex the Kid, Ren and Stimpy. I think there was another game I played that was Odyssey, and that was a way of me winning at something in life because if I'm honest, that a lot of the trauma I experienced as a child, I actually don't remember a lot of because I think that I have blocked a lot of that out. And so gaming was a form of escapism for me in a world that I was constantly trying to succeed in and be the best and feel worthy because of my relationship with my dad. I could play a game and feel like I could achieve something. So there's no surprises here that to be nostalgic in 2021 as I brought a PlayStation 4. It's been such a godsend. But how does this relate to Mercury retrograde? So for anyone that's a gamer out there, or even if you've played Candy Crush on your iPad or your iPhone, I'm sure there's a time where you've picked up a game. As you can breeze through a level, I'm going to use Crash Bandicoot for example. You can race through a level and complete it, but you may not have actually broken all the boxes. And so you don't have the opportunity to achieve a perfect score. But there's no reason why you can't go back and redo that level. Maybe there's a boss that you need to fight, or maybe you've missed some Wampa fruit. And so you can go back and retrace your steps to actually achieve 100%. Now, Mercury retrograde is no different. What we tend to do, especially today, is we go ahead in life, forging ahead, trying to achieve the next thing. We're so busy looking to achieve success, looking to achieve and work towards the next thing on our manifestation list, that what can happen is that we actually miss some steps in between. And so Mercury retrograde teaches us to slow down and think about some of the things that we may have missed so that we can essentially master our lives. But if you're anything like me, it's challenging. It sucks when you're forced to slow down and reassess things. So, how do you utilize this time to your advantage? Because if you can slow down and master some things or retrace some steps to get your own perfect score in life, that will help you to achieve a sense of personal satisfaction. And when I say abundance, we always think of that tangible thing, but sometimes abundance is a feeling or a sense of personal fulfillment. And that's what I tend to focus on during this time. So right now, I'm focusing on reconnecting with myself. I've been vision boarding, I've been organizing my life away, hello Virgo, and taking a step back. And I know I'm going to need to take a step back for the next few weeks. So what happens, because Mercury is the planet of communication, it's our thoughts, it's our ideas, it's how we synthesize information, is that means all forms of communication have this tendency to slow down or challenges can crop up. And Mercury will retrograde from the 10th of September to the 2nd of October. And it's going to move from 8 degrees of Libra through to 24 degrees of Virgo. Now, the stuff that you normally hear is that you can have an ex-partner get in contact with you. Sometimes you might have a falling out with a friend. There's definitely misunderstandings during this time because people's thoughts aren't firing the same way that they normally would. Emails can get lost, flights are delayed, you may experience more anxiety, more headaches or confusion. So that's why it's important to slow down and not put too much pressure on yourself. Make sure you don't overbook yourself. Make sure that you have space to dream, manifest, and use your imagination, and try not to launch something. Sometimes that can be because it might not be you. You might have the perfect launch and the perfect product. It may just not land for the people that you're wanting to connect with. Knowing that it's going to be retrograding from 8 degrees of Libra to 24 degrees of Virgo is that both those signs, being Virgo and Libra, will be feeling it the most, but also Gemini, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury too. What you can do is, if you're working with your own natal chart, is check out where Libra and Virgo is and what houses do they rule, because that's where Mercury will be retrograding, and if there's any planets in those areas, because that's essentially what it's going to be activating. Stuck wondering what's on the horizon? Well, astrostrategy may be the celestial edge you're looking for. Astrologers gain insight into what's coming up using your transits and progressions. This information is then customized specifically to you and your unique natal chart. And I'm not talking the repetitive information on CoStar, but let's be real, it's a great place to start, and it's where I started too. But there's way more insights you can access, and this is why I created my signature formula, AstroStrategy. AstroStrategy is 4 sessions spaced out over 9 to 12 months, you choose, and at each session, we reflect on the last quarter, identifying the sticking points, what's been happening in your life, and how you've been managing your time, energy, and greatest potential, all through the lens of your natal chart. Plus, we explore what's on the horizon. How can we look ahead at the most impactful and influential activations so that you can take big leaps towards your higher self? At each session, you'll walk away with an astro strategy. So think of this as your own personal horoscope and a plan in place to step into the energy of your higher self. If you want to know more, you can head to christygray.com or send me an email at hello@christygray.com for the 411. Now, coming back to these words that start with re, because the re in retrograde does stand for retrospection, reimagining, reassessing, reflecting. It gives you this opportunity to take a moment and take a breath. When I say reimagine, this is your opportunity to reimagine your life. So, whatever that looks like, and whatever your processes and practices are to help you to conjure a new vision. As I mentioned before, mine is vision boarding, and I found a really great template on Canva this morning. I personalized it. I jumped on Pinterest. Depending on your favorite version of reimagining, it could be writing out a list or writing out your goals again, whatever it looks like. What's so important here is that you have the opportunity to dream big. I want you to conjure your deepest desires, and nothing is off limits. Then reassess. I like to reassess my routines. I love making sure I have a morning routine and a nighttime routine in place. I've been doing a ton of reading up on behavioral science and habits and routines and how to build momentum. And if you tuned into last week's episode, which touched on ADHD, one of the resources I shared was this book called Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. And that kind of put the wheels in motion for me as what is capturing my attention right now? What's stealing away my time? But what do my morning routines look like? And I've been using this Streaks app for like 7 years. Since COVID, I found it really hard to build momentum on it. But through some of the research that I have been doing, it's about building habits that help you to avoid those distractions while you're doing them, and just checking something off sometimes isn't enough. I've actually found a new app called Routinery, and you can set up 2 free routines in it. What I really love about it, and not everyone will love this, so that's why I'm prefacing here that it's probably not going to be for everyone, is you essentially build a morning routine in there. And so mine's called a miracle morning routine. And I have put the habits in there that I want to build, how long it takes me to build those habits. What it does is it gives you a prompt of what habit you need to achieve, and the clock will start counting down. Now, for some people, that will give you anxiety. I love it because it's gamification. And the other part to this is reflecting on the words that you speak. Because Mercury is cerebral, it can be easier during this time to let your inner critic run the show. Because of the fact that Jupiter is also in opposition to Mercury, it's going to feel a little crunchy over the next few weeks. You may find that you might lack more confidence than you normally do. You might find it harder to express yourself, and that inner critic could become a little louder. It's going to be really important that you lean on any type of personal development tools or positive thinking techniques to get you through over the next few weeks. The other part to this is that you will need to make sure that you weigh up all your options before making any decisions. So no rash decisions, babes. I blocked out some time this week in my calendar. I ended up taking a breathwork class. I've been catching up on astrology study because astrology study is always my happy place. I created a plan in Notion, which is where I manage my life. And that's like my way of regaining a sense of control and organization. So you probably will find that the things that you lean on and the tools and the resources and the rituals, you're going to need to make sure that they are a priority. I wanted to give you a little bit of astro tea on this because you'll be thinking, well, what's in this for me, Christy? So if you're a fire sign or if you have a lot of fire in your natal chart, is you need movement. So I want you to prioritize exercise. I want you to prioritize initiating things and doing something, whether you're moving energy through your body or whether you've got some movement happening in the home. Play some good music, get things moving essentially in your life. If you're a water sign or if you have a lot of water in your natal chart, is you need to create space to connect with your emotions. So whether that be through visualization, meditation, or maybe it's a creative practice that you love, whether it's picking up a paintbrush or picking up some coloring pens and doing some drawing, just something that creates space for you to connect inwards. If you're an earth sign or you have a lot of earth in your natal chart, this is all about regaining a sense of solid footing. So whether you're literally walking and connecting bare feet to earth, or reading, or creating an environment that you can luxuriate in, whether that's a little space in your home or cleaning up your space, that will give you that sense of stability. And if you're an air sign or if you have a lot of air in your natal chart, this is your opportunity to harness your ideas productively, whether that be through connecting with friends, creating a roadmap, brain dumping some things down. It's really important that you shift that energy and the cerebral nature, because you are already, and shift that energy from your head down to your feet. So this brings me to this week's Pisces full moon. Of course, happens when Mercury starts to retrograde. And Pisces as an archetype, it's imaginative, it's dreamy, it's a mutable water sign. It represents being at one with the universe and going inwards to connect deeply with your intuition. It's a very empathetic sign. But we're in Virgo season. And Virgo season is mutable earth. It's practical, it's diligent, it's methodical, it needs to be of service. It's this invitation to reflect and dive deep into our emotions. Because of everything else that's happening in the cosmos right now, things could get a little bit emotional. Now, Virgo invites us to approach life head on. And of course, devise a plan. So it's not just about sitting in your emotions and feeling them and not taking action. It's actually about, okay, this is what I'm experiencing right now, but how is this beneficial to me? And how can then I use what I'm feeling to take intuitive action to move forward? So essentially, when these two combine, you have to be brave enough to move through or swim through any challenges that you're experiencing, because when you do that, it will be a truly cathartic experience. Now, with this particular full moon, there is a 7-degree separation between the moon and Neptune, because Neptune's hanging out close by and Neptune rules Pisces. And Neptune creates illusion and inspiration. It's representative of spirituality. But what can happen is that you may find that your judgments are clouded, You could be seeing something through rose-colored glasses. Neptune rules boundaries, so just make sure you have boundaries in place, especially because Mercury retrograde doesn't just affect us babes, it affects everybody. So make sure that you are standing in your self-worth, make sure that you are owning your personal power, and put boundaries in place if you need to. What's really important here is that you are creating some space to lean into your intuition. Because I always find, like, anybody that has strong Pisces placements, 12th house placements, or Neptune, is that they have this real incredible ability to tap into psychic abilities. I think we're all intuitive, as you know, but this is really what I look for in a natal chart. Now, what can happen is that when you have Neptune so close to the moon, you can pick up on other people's vibes. So boundary, lock it in, baby. The moon is going to be sextiling both Uranus and also Pluto. Uranus could facilitate light bulb moments because Uranus is expect the unexpected, and Pluto helps us to regain a sense of empowerment. So your celestial invitation this week is to get out your calendar, block out some time, baby, for you. Use a spiritual practice to connect with your higher self, whether that's pulling an oracle card, a tarot card, writing out some affirmations. It could be breath work, meditation, journaling, a walk in nature, something that helps you to tap into the divine feminine. Tune in to what your inner wisdom is trying to say. Happy full moon manifesting, babes. Enjoy everything that this week is offering up to you, which is space, clarity, and perspective. Know that anything you're faced with, you always have the ability to move through. And I hope this episode inspires you to start identifying your own patterns astrologically in your life. I'll be back next week with a cosmic deep dive. So until then, stay magical.